Garbage men of the world, what's the best worst thing you have found thrown away? My father was a garbage man when I was born. I don't remember because I was like 3 months old, but my first dog was in the trash. My dad stopped, picked up a box and heard some shuffling on the inside and there were 2 puppies. My dad kept one and the driver kept the other. They were brother and sister. My dad assumed. He kept the male and named him Jasper. He was literally my best friend growing up. I had him for 13 years and my dad tells me the job was worth it just for that dog. He called the police and animal control on the residents but doesn't know what happened after that. All I know is I'm 37 and still love that dog so much. I'm so thankful my dad saved him and his sister. My father was a garbage man who also did cleanouts for homes and businesses, where they rip apart the entire building and throw everything out in their dumpsters. He worked on a ton of really massive houses, some worth tens of millions of dollars. One was worth 40 million and wasn't even the permanent residence. Best things I got as a kid: a pretty much unused trampoline with a net and everything, a go-kart that my dad's friend was able to fix up and we used all the time. I live on a dead end, and once he cleaned out a deli that was closing down, and we no joke had unlimited Snapples and sodas of every flavor for almost a year. I'd drink the Snapples while out on the trampoline. I used the hell out of all 3 of those things in my childhood. I worked as a garbage man in 1972. A small stray cat jumped into the back of the hopper to look for food. I took him home and named him Saigon. This was the best thing. Second best thing, someone threw out an old pair of skis. There was snow on the ground and me and the other guy each took a ski and stood on it and held onto the truck. Great fun. Third best, we found an entire case of Brial cream. Look it up. And me and the other guy had Brial cream fights all day. Total mess. I stripped off before going into my house after work. Worst things, a garbage can that had live coals in it that started our truck on fire. In the 80s I picked up a number of Philips color TVs. I had a few, so fixing them was just a question of swapping parts. I then sold them cheaply or gave them away to fellow students. My little brother was emptying out a client's basement and everything was going to be thrown away, so my brother was told to keep anything he wanted. He saw a nice looking bike and took it. Turns out it was a brand new Page 8 30th anniversary limited edition and in perfect condition. From what I found on it, it goes for over $4K. Not me but my brother. Someone apparently threw out grandpa's stuff from the attic after he passed away. This was the last scheduled pickup at the house and everything was already moved out. Nobody living there. Driving an automated claw to grab and dump truck. My brother was irritated. There were these 2 bowling bags he had to get out to throw in the truck. He realized they seemed a bit heavy, so he opened them to see why. Inside there was real silverware flatware. He ended up selling it for scrap prices to a jeweler and got $3,000. My dad was a trash man when I was growing up. He would always be bringing cool stuff home to us. He used to always say that the poor neighborhoods had the most trash and they threw away literally everything. The 2 best ones that I can think of was a brand new BMX bike and like 20 Nintendo 64 games that he found at a video rental store. Also, once at the transfer station one of his co-workers found a dummy arm in the big pile of trash. He pulled it and it ended up being a dead guy. The police later determined that it was a homeless person that got picked up and died when the trash truck compacted him. In Philly, the students at Penn, especially rich overseas folks, will often leave crazy expensive clothes, electronics, kitchen items and furniture in the trash when the scholastic year is done. Just toss it out. Eater, about 50 of you from Boston have told me about Alston Christmas. Stop already. Also, I know that this happens at lots of colleges. The local college best known for this is Penn. In the early 2000s my best friend's dad was a garage man. I used to hang out at their house a lot and I remember him finding uncut sheets of holographic Dragon Ball Z trading cards in the trash and bringing them back. They were super dope to see. A lane cedar chest. I was helping my dad clean out this lady's garage and she said as long as we were there, we might as well take that too. She said she always hated the smell of cedar but her husband wouldn't let her get rid of it, and now that he was dead, she was sending it on its way. The veneer was never in great shape but it still keeps my wool items safe. I've had it for over 30 years now. I'm not a garbage man, but I once scored a whole custom built staircase from a dumpster. It was in perfect condition but apparently built to the wrong spec. It worked great for my barn. Found a 55-inch TV next to the dumpster 4 years ago. It was missing one HDMI port on the side. It looked like someone might have tripped and ripped it out. Anyway, I opened it up, googled the motherboard serial number and found a brand new replacement for like $60 less than 25 minutes away. Needless to say, I called ahead on my day off, picked it up, and it works like a charm. Still use the TV to this day. I worked in the scrap metal business and have found not one, but 2 of 3 exact same bread statue of 2 bears screwing each other. Brass statue. My bad. My friend found a PS4, excellent condition, and a brand new controller still in the box. Not a garbage person, but I live in a large apartment complex. I could have furnished multiple apartments with all the stuff that gets thrown out here, and partially furnished mine. But the best thing I've seen in the pile was one of those grandfather clocks you can make from a kit. Still looked very nice, but it needed some fixing to get it to run again. I'm still waiting to find a piano. I would like a piano. When I was growing up, my neighbor worked at the local council. One night he knocked on the door trying to rehome a couple of kittens that one of the workers had, apparently, found at the local tip. All I remember was this absolute giant of man. Normally the most calm and chill person I'd ever met, absolutely seething with anger while holding a tiny ginger and white kitten in one of his hands. My guess is that someone had dropped off a box with them in hoping it wouldn't be noticed, which somehow seems like more of an a-hole move and more effort than just leaving them somewhere public where they might be found by someone, even if you don't want to take them to a shelter. Anyway, as much as I begged and pleaded, I wasn't allowed to keep one because my dad claimed allergies. No trash kitty for me. Worked as a garbage man for a very short time last summer, but the best thing I found was an edition of my local newspaper from the day after the Challenger exploded. Not a garbage man, but have rescued projectors, computers, furniture and even a very expensive Yamaha keyboard. Just needed a new plug. From skips being thrown out, loads of music scores, a dining room table with nothing wrong with it. I may be just about to get a 65 inches touchscreen TV that's no longer touchscreen. 2. Depends on what happens to it over the next few days. Large companies throw all sorts away and they're far more focused on I just need to get rid of this than spending the time to find someone to take it. By the same token, I've also burned about 20 fully working interactive whiteboards because I couldn't get anyone interested in taking them. PS. Yes, I sought permission before taking any of the above. If I just took whatever I saw, I'd have even more stuff. Not a garbage collector, but there's a cool story about how garbage collectors in Ankara, Turkey gathered a bunch of books that were thrown away. They then bring them back to the depot where there's a library's worth of books now. They've saved about 20,000 books from the incinerator. One person's trash is indeed another's treasure. It's always trash can, and never trash cannot. Friend of ours found 2 bullet-resistant vests with paramedic written across them, being thrown out behind a fire station. I guess the expire or something. Obligatory. Not a garbage man, but once many years ago I was asked to deliver books left over from a church rummage sale to a minimum security woman's prison. The books almost filled the bed of my pickup. When I got there, 6 inmates were assigned to unload the books. You would have thought all those musty paperbacks were made of gold. The women were delighted and very grateful. Once I found a perfectly good stationary bike that my neighbors threw out that I cleaned up then used for years. Can't believe this day comes only 52 times a year. When I was a kid, my dad worked for a company that hauled away dumpsters and at one point found an old alto sax complete in the box. Ended up playing it for 4 years up until high school when it was stolen. Couldn't play after that since my family couldn't afford a rental, let alone pay for a new one. My uncle was a garbage man and found a fully boxed Power Rangers Megazord toy. I don't remember which season or what, but it had been previously opened and all of the parts and such were still inside. I don't remember if they sold it off or what, but it was super cool to see. A part of me feels like maybe a collector tossed their boxes away and mistakenly threw the whole figure with it, or some kid's parents stitched it while cleaning up after a birthday or Christmas. I don't know, but feels bad. I found a cardboard cutout from the Emma and Mrs. Smith movie release when it was in theaters. I put Mr. Smith on one side of the truck and Mrs. Smith on the other side. Got a few fun honks going down the road with a gorgeous Angelina Jolie on the back of a trash truck. Not a garbage person, but I just wanted to say the garbage people are severely underrated. In movies they are shown as the people who had no aspirations, but if no one did that job the streets would be very dirty, and that is not good. So to all the garbage people who see this, thank you.